Welcome back, Renegades. Today we have gameplay with Purple Yellow Pudding versus Green Bonney in OP09. We're wrapping up our pudding matchups against the meta. We have this one, and then the next video we will be finishing up with Dopey. So opponent chooses to go first here. We take a mulligan. So we end up with a couple pudding searchers, a 2K, Miss All Sunday, and Charlotte Katakuri. Opponent gets a Dawn, passes it to us. We're at 2 Dawn here. We're going to deploy out one of our pudding searchers, grabbing the 9-drop Lin Lin. Going to finish up with the second one, grabbing the 2K Sanji, just passing it back to the opponent. So Pudding's a ramp deck, Bonnie's a tempo control style deck, more mid-range, or mid-game to late. So Bonnie's going to go 6 into 5 here. We're going to give him a 2K. They have 2 open Dawn, see what they want to do with it. They're going to play out a searcher or just pass the turn. Alright. So they left their Dawn open for leader effect. Alright, so we have a 2K Sanji now. We have the 9-drop Lin Lin. Miss All Sunday. We just drew into another Lin Lin. We have a Katakuri and a Flampe. So we know they're going to rest one. So we're just going to put one on our pudding, going 6 into life here, using leader effect to ramp a rested Dawn. And we left 3 open Dawns so we can get another 5K swing in with the pudding searcher. Off of life, we showed a Katakuri and the 0-drop event. So we just pass it back to the opponent. We're going to play out a Cavendish, getting 2 active Dawn back. So they'll be able to... Okay, so they put one on their leader, pressuring 6 into one of the pudding searchers. That's fine. Back to us. We're at 7 Dawn here. We know they're going to rest the pudding. So we're going to deploy out a Flampe here to take the top life. And then we can play out a 6-drop Katakuri to flip it over. Gaining an active, and swinging in, using leader effect again. We did this just so we could ramp a little harder. We knew they were going to rest stuff down. Not sure who they're resting. They're resting the 2K. Okay. And then passing it back to them. Usually you don't want to play out your board before you swing, but we wanted to ramp a little bit more here because we have some 9-drop Yamatos, Lin Lins. We can go 6 into the rested pudding, which is fine. They still have 3 Dawn to work with. They've deployed a Basil Hawkins. They're going to rest their baby 5 to get a Rosinati blocker. So they're going to pressure 6 into life here. I'm going to give him a 2K. Now back to us. We're at 10 Dawn already. We're going to deploy the 9-drop Yamato, getting rid of the Cavendish. Because if we would have swung first, they would have taken the life, and that would have made it so we wouldn't have been able to get rid of Cavendish. So we just chose the biggest swing we had, which was Katakuri. They're resting our leader, and then they used their blocker and countered out. So we're just going to pressure the baby 5 here, see if they want to give us another 1K out of hand. Nope, they let it go. Alright, we'll pass it back to the opponent. I'm going to play out another Cavendish. Pressuring 5 into the plant B, which is fine. Play out of Jewelry Bonney Searcher. They get a Capone Gang Beiji, little blocker there. They're going to play out Rosinati and the Beiji, so they just flooded the board with a bunch of blockers. So 5 combined life total that we're working with here. So if we want the Cavendish, we should have swung. We should have played out at first. So we should have played out the Yamato there. So we're going to just pivot here. We're going to go with a 9-drop Linlin instead. We're going to trash the Missile Sunday to gain a life, and we're going to put the Cavendish. Because we can't do the Basil Hawking because they'll just rest our Linlin. So you just put the Cavendish in the life. And now we have a 6k swing with our pudding. We just pass it over. The reason we didn't swing the pudding there is because they're going into their 10 Dawn turn, and I didn't want to get completely locked out with the 10 drop Doflamingo. And here they played it. And they just pass it back. So we have 4, they have 4, 5, 6, okay. So that Basil Hawkins, it's a little tricky to get rid of, so we're going to attempt to swing, see if they'll use a blocker here, but they seen what was coming and they took the life instead. Because now we can't take out Basil. I mean, we couldn't technically take it out anyways. Because the on-play effect that we would utilize would, Basil would be able to rest, so. We're going to play out another 9-drop Linlin here. We're going to trash the Yamato, I think, is like the least card that's effective here. It's a 9k body. But we're going to trash it. We're going to gain a life. And then we're just going to put, I think we're going to put the Razanati. Because we were debating about the Basil here, but they can rest our Linlin. So we're going to put the Razanati at the bottom of their life. Just pass it back to them. Here they're going to go 10 into the 7. We're going to give them 2 2Ks here just to keep our board. Because with Bonney being able to lock down the board, yeah, here comes another 10 drop. So now we still have like 2 swings into life here. They have 2 blockers. We were going to play out the Sanji, but we decided to swing first, so 9. So they got the Cavendish back to hand. Now we're going to play out the 7-drop, or the 6-drop Katakuri. Right now we're just trying to fill the board. So we're going to put 4 onto our leader, going 9 into life. They're going to finally give up one of their blockers. We just pass it back. We have 5 life. We have a healthy life total right here. They only have 1 life. And they're eating through their blockers fairly quickly. So they're going to go 10 into 9 here. If we want to save it, it's going to cost both cards in hand. So we're going to try to save it here. We know they'll have to pressure it again with the other 10 drop, which is fine. Because it wasn't like they weren't going to get 2 of our characters off the board with the 10 drops. They're going to have to use another swing and Dawn in order to take out something else. And we still have 5 life, so we're happy to take some hits. Bonnie's a pretty hard matchup for pudding because we ramp pretty hard, but their top end is better. As far as controlling the board, locking it down, their 8-drop kid, the insane amount of blockers that they have, the Doflamingos, the Shanks. Like I said, Bonnie's got a lot of great top end stuff here. So yeah, we ramp to our top end faster, but we get into the situation here where we get them to low life, but then they just start, bringing out their 10 drops and chaining those together. Their 8-drop kid, their Shanks, the Hody Jones. Like, Bonnie's got a lot of answers to the mid to late game. It's not an unwinnable matchup, but it's definitely a struggle. Here we have to give that to them because we have no cards in hand. But they did rest a blocker, which is kind of important. So they have 9 Dawn to work with. They could play a Shanks and get rid of one of the 9 drops here, either the Yamato or the Linlin. But then they would be completely out of Dawn, and we would have 3 swings on them. They could also play the kid and put a Dawn on it, forcing us to push our attacks towards the kid. Waiting on the opponent to make a decision here. They're going to play out another Basil Hawkins, okay? So now they can pressure a couple Dawn into life, but they don't really need to because we have no cards in hand. They have 9 cards in hand still. That's a lot of cards. Opponent scoops it up here. Alright, so they had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12k worth of counter. They would have been able to lock down the 1. We would have searched. We would have only had to search there off the top of life, which could have gave us something. Maybe a 10 drop Big Mom, which would have been great. We would have been able to pressure a 9, a 7, and a 5. I don't know. I think the opponent might have scooped up a little prematurely here. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.